Oh, okay. We are back in live, folks. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Welcome to this week's edition of Roundabout Sports presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media and Filthy Games Room located at 3479 Newtown Boulevard. It is a scorching hot um, Wednesday, June 19th. It's happy Juneteenth, everybody. Here at Interstate 70 Sports Media, our passion is our profession. It is episode 91, folks. I am excited. We are just 9 weeks away from episode 100. I can confirm that Luke Roberts, longtime legend in the wrestling industry, is confirmed to be one of the guests for episode 100. So I'm really excited for that. Tonight, I'm excited because a dear friend of mine, a really cool guy, Tyler Cooley, no pun intended, will be on the show with us. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, on X, on YouTube under Interstate 70 Sports Media, as well as on YouTube at Interstate 70 Sports Media. And we're all over Facebook as well. And be sure to send in your questions, your comments. You can find us on iTunes, on Spotify, and so many more places where streaming is available. Now that we got all the formalities out of the way, I want to bring up the top story today, and it is a sad one, and that is about the passing of Willie Mays. So, the iconic Hall of Fame center fielder, who, in my personal opinion, is the greatest baseball player of all time. I know it's a broad, subject and everything, or I should say, a debate. But to me, Willie Mays is the greatest of all time. He passed away yesterday, according to the San Francisco Giants, and of course, it's been confirmed by everybody now. At the age of 93 years old. Now, at the time of his death, Willie Mays was the oldest living Hall of Famer. And he actually had just announced he would not be in attendance when the San Francisco Giants take on the Cardinals at Rickwood Field in Birmingham tomorrow, actually, in a game that would be honoring him and the legacy of the Negro Leagues. Nicknamed the Say Hey Kid, he had a professional career that actually spanned 4 decades. He was in the Negro Leagues in the late 1940s, and it ended with the New York Mets in 1973. He was most famously for playing over 22 years with the New York and then San Francisco Giants. To me, what made him the best of all time was how great of a five-tool player he was. He excelled at speed, at throwing, at fielding, at hitting for average, and for hitting for power. He had a career 301 average. He was Rookie of the Year in 1951. He was twice an MVP and was in top 10 for MVP 10 other times. First, he was named in 1954 as MVP, and then as a Giant in San Francisco Giant in 1965. He has a career 7,095 putouts in the outfield, which is a record. He won 10 Gold Gloves in center field, and he was in 24 All-Star games. He hit 660 career home runs. And he was, at the time of his retirement, third on the all-time home run list. And he eventually moved down the list when his godson, Barry Bonds, passed him up. He remains the Giants' leader in games played, at-bats, runs, hits, doubles, homers, total bases, and extra base hits. And in his first year of eligibility, he was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1979, to the All-Century team in 1999, and in 2015, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. The Sporting News actually ranked him as the second greatest ball player of all time of the 20th century, and ESPN listed him second as well. Both lists were behind Babe Ruth as far as for greatest baseball player, and he was listed as 8th in the top 50 athletes of the century by ESPN. So, 93 years old. He just had his birthday last month. And, Jared tuning in. Thank you so much, Jared. And be sure to check Jared out alongside Christopher Miles on Issues with Wrestling every week. He says it's a shame he got more flowers when he's gone. He should have got it even more when he was alive. Eddie, thank you so much for tuning in. Eddie says, sad day in baseball. Sad day indeed, Eddie. So it's it's a heartbreak, but he did live a very fulfilling life. He was an icon for many. So he will be dearly missed. To continue now with the latest in sports, as a season ticket holder, it really sucks for the Battlehawks. It really sucks when two other teams that aren't in St. Louis are playing in a game hosted in St. Louis. But that's exactly what happened when the Birmingham Stallions shut out the San Antonio Brahmas in the UFL Championship game at the Dome at America Center last week. And it was a real crappy game, folks. It really was. San Antonio didn't stand a chance. There was a lot of miscues. I'm not going to go out and say the St. Louis was going to win the game one way or another, because Birmingham is a great team. But there ain't no reason San Antonio should have been in that game. That St. Louis squandered their chance in the XFL Conference title game. And Birmingham joins the UConn women's basketball team as the only pro sports franchises or teams in any professional major sport over the past 25 years to win 3 consecutive championships. Before both of them, the last team to have won 3 straight championships was the New York Yankees from 98, 99, and 2000. Jared saying, it's common in St. Louis that St. Louis comes up short when it comes to sports. I know our dear friend, the Good Doctor, will agree to that. Also, the Good Doctor had a great appearance last night on the Wrestle Talk podcast, which you can tune in on every Tuesday night. Speaking of the Good Doctor, I do want to promote his book, that being For the Love of the Show, where pro wrestling fans tell their stories. It's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I've had a great time reading it. I like the fact that I happen to have a personal signed copy of the book. But look, he went out and he really tried to find fans that have legitimate great stories that help them connect to the world of professional wrestling. So that is what I find special about this book, because I have a lot of great memories when it comes to going to professional wrestling shows and watching professional wrestling as well. So be sure to get For the Love of the Show anywhere you can find it. Highly reviewed, and it's a great read as well. Also, to keep the book promotion going, I also want to throw out St. Louis Sports Memories, Forgotten Teams and Moments from America's Best Sports Town, written by my dear friend, Mr. Ed Wheatley. It talks about more than just like the Cardinals and the Blues and the Rams. I mean, we're talking about the Spirits, the football Cardinals, the St. Louis Browns, the Steamers. There is a lot of great history in this book. I highly recommend. It's on retail shelves everywhere. And it's online, so be sure to go out and find it. And yeah, I mean, he is Ed Wheatley, an Emmy Award winner. He's been a frequent guest on our show. I've had the pleasure of talking with him in person multiple times as well. So, yes, once again, for the love of the show and St. Louis sports memories. Okay, folks. Moving on now in the world of sports. You know, I really got to say, um, every time the Cardinals get so close to consistently being back over 500, they just dip back down. Yes, for the first time since the first week of April, the Cardinals made it to over 500 just a day ago. And yet, just like that, they're back down. Because after 2 consecutive losses to the Miami Marlins. Now, come on, really? The Miami Marlins. They are 25-49, and we're in the middle of June. And I want to put this in perspective. In a way, it's okay because the National League Central, and I've talked about this with Ryan Bowman on before, but I'm going to be honest. The Cardinals are absolute fortunate they are in a bad division because they're 36-37, and meanwhile, I mean, guess what? They're still in second place. And granted, they're 7 games out of first, but they're still in second place. The Brewers are 43-30. It's not unlikely that they can catch up. In fact, if you look at all the teams that lead their division in baseball, the Brewers have the worst record. So, personally, if you ask me, if I'm the Cardinals, I got to get their stuff figured out. That being said, it is what it is. So, going on now, we do actually have, I believe, some breaking news coming in from the world of the NBA. Hang on one second. Let me double check. Let's see. That is our breaking news signal. So, the Detroit Pistons fire head coach after just 1 season. Now, you may not think that's much. That's not the biggest takeaway I have from all this, folks. The biggest takeaway I have from all this is the fact that they still owe him $65 million. Imagine getting fired after 1 year, but still making $65 million. Got him! I really don't know. Monty Williams is probably really excited right about now about that. And yes, thank you, AJ, for tuning in. We're excited. Hopefully, Tyler Cooley joins us soon. Meanwhile, as far as the Pistons go, let me tell you guys something. And ladies, of course. Detroit finished this year. Actually, over the past 5 seasons, the Detroit Pistons are 94-290. That is a winning percentage of .245. Absolute just atrocity. Like, damn. It is rough. Next week, they have the number, they have the number 5 pick in next Wednesday's NBA draft, thanks to the lottery. So, hopefully, for their sake, things go better. Now, hey, Jimmy, thank you so much for tuning in, referee Jimmy Harris. Always a great pleasure to have you tuning in here to Roundabout Sports. I want to take this time to talk about our dear friends at Filthy Games Room. Okay, let me really tell you guys about Filthy. Okay, I have known these folks for over a year now. They just celebrated their year anniversary, and business is absolutely booming at Filthy Games Room. It is located at 3479 Newtown Boulevard in St. Charles, Missouri. It's not too far from Newtown and 370. Now, at Filthy Games Room, you will find some of the largest selection of retro and classic video games in the metro area of St. Louis. On top of that, if you go to the entrance of the store, you will actually be finding a wide selection of classic and iconic arcade machines, all of which are free to play and all of which are always available during open store hours. Also, in the back, in the main store, I should say, there is always daily movies being played. They do console and game repairs. And once again, folks, if you join their patronage program, you have the chance to get up to 10% off all video game purchases. They have monthly contests you can participate in. They just had a Smash Brothers 64 tournament, and let me tell you, folks, it was absolutely packed there. Business was thriving. I remember when it started out really small, and I am just very happy for the amazing team that is at Filthy Games Room. Very competitive and fair prices. Be sure to check out the man himself, Mr. Ben Bizzle, who leads the operation. This is his dream come true, alongside with Scott, Isaac, and Ari, a fantastic group of folks. And this was a shot just last week there at Filthy Games Room. As you can see, they have thousands of games on hand in cases and inside of on their shelves. They also have you can you can test out the games you want to purchase. And come on, there is a Blockbuster video banner hanging in the store. Now, if that don't bring back nostalgia for you all, I mean, I don't know what will. So be sure to check out Filthy Games Room. It's open Wednesday through Saturday, 12 noon to 8 p.m. Also, if you are a frequent goer towards conventions, folks, I'm telling you, check them out. I know these guys enough to where they've traveled literally across the area. And I mean, I should say from the Midwest. They've went up all the way to Milwaukee. They've been to Kansas City. They went to Bloomington, Illinois a couple weeks ago. I mean, these are not just down the street from here in St. Charles, Missouri. So be sure to check them out. That said, as we await for Tyler Cooley's appearance this evening, I do want to say that there is something that WWE fans are really excited for. And that is the debut of Uncle Howdy. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Bray Wyatt, the late great Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, was the leader of what is known as the Wyatt family. And when he became the Fiend Bray Wyatt, he had his own stable as well with a bunch of very creepy characters. Well, those characters made a debut last week on Monday Night Raw, just a couple days ago. And I'm going to wait a little bit more to talk with Tyler about it. But I do want to say, folks, it was a breath of fresh air. WWE fans gave a rousing ovation, and they were still mesmerized by it happening. But once again, I can't really delve too much into it. I will say our dear friend Tyler is aware of the show tonight. I had the pleasure of talking with him earlier today, and I will promote the work that he does as well. Tyler is a very prominent face within the professional wrestling scene here in the St. Louis and Western Illinois area. I Hang on one second. Sorry for potentially any technical difficulties. Um, Spectrum can be how it is sometimes. I hope that everybody can hear me loud and clear. But as I was saying, Tyler Cooley. Okay, bear with me, folks. We have a lot going on. You can check him out as he is the color commentator at New Genesis Wrestling. He's a ring announcer at IEW, known as Illinois Elite Wrestling. He's also made appearances at multiple other promotions, formerly SICW. But he is also a familiar face all over the scene of professional wrestling. So we will be waiting for Tyler Cooley to join us later on in the show. Until then, I really want to thank everybody who's been tuning in so far. I got my Filthy Games Room hat. And of course, we're rocking a wonderful couple books here by the good doctor, Dr. Jeremy Housewright, and our dear friend Ed Wheatley. St. Louis Sports Memories, Forgotten Teams and Moments from America's Best Sports Town, and For the Love of the Show. So I am absolutely looking forward to that. Alrighty, folks. Be sure to submit any and all questions you may have in regards to the latest happenings in sports. I will say I do have some updates in regards to Nolan Arenado, the all-star third baseman. He was hit by a pitch in today's loss against the Marlins. There was x-rays that were taken that were shown to be negative, but he's listed as day-to-day, suffering a right elbow contusion. He says he feels okay and that there is no break, but and in this past 7 games, he's hit almost 300. So Arenado's definitely been a lot more solid lately than he has been in previous outings. Or he's been more solid than he has been in, I guess, an early stretch of the season. A lot of guys on the Cardinals have been bouncing back. One guy on the St. Louis Cardinals that I really want to talk about, though, is Ryan Helsley. Because to me, and we've talked about this with Andy Cockrell and Ryan K. Bowman in the past, Ryan Helsley very well could be the only all-star on the Cardinals right now. He leads the league with 24 saves. He's 24 of 25. Right now, he has been the model of consistency. Granted, he has a 2.53 ERA. He has 2 wins and 3 losses. 36 strikeouts. And in 32 games, he's notched 24 saves. I will say, overall, there's not much more you could expect out of your closer than what Ryan Helsley has done. I've maintained the belief that I think Helsley's been the best closer the Cardinals have had since Rosenthal. And I just hope that the Cardinals don't wear him out. I hope Ollie Marmol doesn't wear him out. That, to me, is the biggest thing that worries me. And I think that's something that's plagued a lot of Cardinals closers in the past, is that they have been either misused, worn out. It's just, it's a lot. So that's how I look at it. So once again, folks, I want to welcome you all. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Roundabout Sports. I will say, unfortunately, our guest Tyler Cooley, our scheduled guest, has not shown up yet. I'm still waiting. I had the pleasure of talking to him earlier today to follow up on if he would appear on the show, and he said absolutely. So we are waiting. If by chance something comes up, don't you worry, the show will go on and Tyler Cooley would be rescheduled. I got a lot of love and a lot of respect for him. Life gets busy as you get older, believe me, and I don't mean old, but real world shit can happen sometimes. So we're just waiting on hearing from Tyler. But as that goes on, folks, some of the latest things that are going on in the world of sports. I also want to say that the biggest thing. So here's something funny: the Super Bowl ring that the Chiefs got. All right, the Super Bowl rings that all these teams get are supposed to be really exclusive, very pristine stuff that you don't expect often to see. Like there's supposed to be something very mesmerizing about them. Well, the funny thing is with this Chiefs Super Bowl, the inside of the ring commemorates the Chiefs' victory. And the score of each of the Chiefs' playoff victories are listed. And it includes an inscription of what seed each team they faced was. Now, an interesting thing is on the latest New Heights podcast hosted by Jason and Travis Kelce, it was pointed out that there was a major little goof. It had the Miami Dolphins listed as the 7th seed, while they were actually listed as they were listed as the 7th seed, when in fact they were actually the 6th seed in the playoffs last year. And it cracked me up because Jason asked whether Travis had any plans to get the error fixed. And Travis Kelce's response was as plain and simple as it could be. I don't give a shit. That's what Travis said. He said, no, I like it that we didn't give a, now that word I'm not going to say, about what seed Miami is. They were the 7th. Who cares? They could have done no seeds on the side of them. I would have been fine. And he says it makes the ring even more unique. So, and I get a quote from AJ here saying it might be Ace Roberts trying to hijack the production. It very well could be, because let me tell you something. Ace Roberts and the Solution at Pro Wrestling Epic definitely have their gripes with me, and I would love for them to come at me and we can really have a nice confrontation and talk about any and all issues that we have. So, absolutely. But that being said, the Chiefs Super Bowl ring is an interesting piece of jewelry nonetheless, and I am aiming to get a picture of it up here for the fans for the viewers and everybody to tune in and see. So, and when that moment happens, I will be sure to let you know. I also want to give an update on our dear friend Hollywood James Knox. I had the pleasure of speaking with Hollywood. He is doing fairly well. He is working hard as always. For those that don't know, he's also an umpire, and the knees definitely showcase that. But I've talked to him. He's doing great, and he sends his love, and we send our love to him because without Hollywood James Knox, we wouldn't be where we're at. We wouldn't be at episode 91. He was such an integral part and has been such an integral part to the success of Interstate 70 Sports Media. So I do extremely want to thank James for everything he has done so far, and I'm looking forward to when that time comes, he comes back and makes his big return. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in to Roundabout Sports as we reached the halfway point of our show. I'm the Maestro Jeremy Carper, brought to you by Interstate 70 Sports Media, where our passion is our profession. We're also brought to you by Filthy Games Room, located off Newtown Boulevard in St. Charles, Missouri, where you can get all of your retro and modern video game and, interestingly enough, VHS needs. They have a great selection of VHS. They have a lot of gaming accessories. No kidding. Quick story. I actually got a Nintendo Power Pad. I don't know how many of you folks are tuning in are from remember back in the 80s, the Nintendo Power Pad. But it's basically like the Wii Fit or Dance Dance Revolution. I got a hell of a deal on it, so I give them credit. I appreciate them for making a great trade with me for it, but they have been absolutely wonderful there. So now, like I said, our featured guest tonight was supposed to be Tyler Cooley, and as of 7:33 p.m. Central Time, Tyler Cooley has not responded back. Now, that being said, I don't hold anything of personal towards him about that. Show goes on regardless. I'm grateful for the folks we have at I-70. I'm grateful for the folks we have at the Wrestle Talk podcast, at Issues with Wrestling with Christopher Miles and Jared Shannon. The folks that review STL at KSDK Sports, and the Your Little Castle show, hosted by the very own Cardinal Cowboy himself, which you can catch on late Saturday nights on ABC 30 St. Louis, and you can be a guest on that show as well to promote your local business. So be sure to reach out to me for more details on how you can actually be on television, folks. Obviously, there's more to it, but at the end of the day, it's a great way to get your local businesses out there, and we here absolutely support local. So I definitely want to thank you all for that, because there is nothing wrong with starting up your own business. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Going up now in the latest in the world of baseball, we had discussed at the top of the hour about the passing of Willie Mays. And I will say, every team held a moment of silence. Every game held a moment of silence before today's game to honor the life and career of Willie Mays. 93 years old. He was the oldest living Hall of Famer at the time of his death. Now, with the passing of Willie Mays, Louis Sapricio, nicknamed Little Louie, at 90 years old, is the oldest living Hall of Famer in baseball. So I know, and yep. Oh, we got the man himself, Jimmy Harris Sr., saying, quote, biggest busy weekend for me. Got to get ready for our event. Keep at it, Mr. Carp. So thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so much for tuning in for as long as you have. That means a great pleasure to me. I do want to take this moment to promote the event that he is talking about, and that will be this Sunday, at Andre's Banquet Hall. It is for the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. And believe it or not, we have such a big class that will be inducted. And I will say that, you know, it's a fantastic, give me 1 second. Yep. And it's a fantastic occasion for people that have made such a big effort in this industry. So I do want to congratulate the following who are inductees. That being for the class of 2024, Extreme Kimchi, Winona Littleheart, Spike Huber, Lunatic Max. Oh, give me 1 second. Okay, we are back. So Moondog Rover, Mr. Bibbs, Lacey, Judge Tough Love, Johnny Jet, Chaz Wesson, or Wesson, Chris Jiken, Dump Truck Perry, Rockin' Al Bowman. All congratulations to them on their induction into the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. So be sure to be there at the Andres Banquet Hall this upcoming Sunday, June 23rd, for the fantastic ceremony that will be taking place. And a message, I don't know if anybody from the Hall of Fame is checking this out, watching us this evening, but a quick little shout out to my dear friend Luke Roberts, and a dear fan of, or a dear friend of a lot of us. Here's to hoping that Luke Roberts' time will finally get into the Hall of Fame. So that is one thing that we are aiming for the future. I figured when you've been in the business 40 years, and you've made an impact on a lot of people, myself especially included, yeah, most definitely, I feel that he would deserve it. So that being said, we can only hope, folks. So once again, and I see Herb Simmons is tuning in, and there's another man. He might be one. Herb Simmons. I want to tell you all a little something about Herb, and thanks since he's tuning in. Herb Simmons is one of the greatest minds that you can talk to. I've had the pleasure of talking to him for so long, so many years now. He's known a plethora of folks in the wrestling industry. The stories he's told me about him and his best friend, the late great Bruiser Brody, and his other friend, the late great Larry Matisick, they bring tears to your eyes and smiles to your faces. He's got all kinds of archived information about professional wrestling in general, let alone wrestling in St. Louis. And I think it's just fantastic that there's somebody like him who is able to archive that type of information. So it's great having Herb tune in. Now, I guess for the St. Louis folks, I have to give this shout out. And that's to number 0, Jason Tatum. Now, first off, I want to say this. Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. First off, I can't stand Boston sports teams. I can't. You know, I'm sorry. Screw Boston sports teams. But a big congratulations to the Boston Celtics, mainly Jason Tatum, on winning the NBA Finals over the Dallas Mavericks. Because now people are going to say, why? Well, for those that don't know, Jason Tatum attended Chaminade High School in Creve Coeur, Missouri. He was born in the St. Louis area. Um, he was in gym class with he alongside. Oh, excuse me. He was in gym class with his classmate by a guy with the name of Matthew Tkachuk. For those that don't know him, his father was former NHL player and Blues legend Keith Tkachuk. Now, Matthew has a chance to clinch a championship of his own with the Stanley Cup, as the Florida Panthers will be taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers won last night, keeping their chances alive. They were down 3-0, and now it's a 3-2 series for Florida. So it's getting closer, folks. Boston, though, look, nobody stood a chance against Boston. They lost 3 games the entire postseason. 3 games, folks. They lost 4 home games all regular season. Boston is one of the most this season's Boston Celtics team is one of the most unstoppable I've seen in a long time. And Jason Tatum, even though he didn't win the MVP, is probably the best player on the Celtics. In future episode, I know I plan on having Dew Henson on as well as Buddy Andrade, so we can talk more about the Celtics. Of course, Andrew being a huge Celtics aficionado, and Buddy actually living up in Boston, where they are all celebrating. Now, this is a big accusation for me to make, and I do make it in jest and in joke, but it would be kind of funny if Boston threw Game 4. They were up 3-0 on the Mavericks. It would be funny if they threw Game 4 just so they could take the series back to Boston at the Garden and clinch the title. Now, once again, look, technically you don't need both teams to do that. You just have to not be able to play good and then have the other team do amazing, because Dallas kicked their ass in Game 4, and Boston kicked Dallas's in Game 5. They celebrate at the Garden. Everybody celebrates. And, Boston wins their 18th NBA title, which is the most in history. They broke a tie with their fiercest rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers. So now Lakers fans have to sit there and say, man, the Celtics finally have more than we do. We got to catch back up. But nope, we don't need that. So with that being said, congratulations to Jason Tatum and the Celtics, Jaylen Brown as well, and also a big shout out to Al Horford on the team. At 36 years old, he played 163 playoff games, well over 160 NBA playoff games before winning his first title, the most in league history. Look, if I was him, I'd retire right now. You reach the top, call it a career. But if he doesn't, ain't nothing wrong with that either. So kudos to him. So for those tuning in, welcome to Roundabout Sports. I'm the Maestro, Jeremy Karp. It is episode 91. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Tyler Cooley will be joining us this week. He was our featured guest, and he's known this for a while. This isn't because of any beef. I want to make it known that him not being on isn't because of any personal animosity. Otherwise, I wouldn't have invited him on the show in the first place. I still probably would have. But no. So unfortunately, I don't have an explanation for the absence, but the goal is to get an explanation as soon as I can. So for those of you that are tuning in, I hate to say it, just to see Tyler Cooley, unfortunately, you might be disappointed to know he probably won't be on tonight. Who knows? I've reached out to him, and he still might surprise me later on, and if need be, we'll figure that wrote out when we get to it. But we are just 9 episodes away from episode 100. So everybody mark it on your calendars that episode 100 is August 21st, 2024. I had to make sure I got the number right, but as far as the day. And yes, it's the 21st of August. The game plan, as of now, is to have Luke Roberts as one of our guests, as well as the return of Hollywood James Knox. That is our game plan for now. Obviously, in life, things can change. We will keep you updated on that. And I have reached out to a lot of other amazing folks to try to make an appearance on the show as well. We are trying to have a big time bash for the 100th episode, and we aim to have a lot of different things for the show going forward following episode 100. I want to congratulate the Wrestle Talk podcast as they get closer to episode 500. And I remember when it was not even close to 200, and here we are. They are just 13 episodes away from episode 500. Man, being part of all this stuff, I've been in this business longer than I thought, and I'm only 29 years old. Holy crap. That said, I also want to give a shout out to my friends at CHWA and Dynamo Pro Wrestling. If you are a fan of Dynamo Pro Wrestling, I figured I'd be remiss. I might as well talk to you all about their next upcoming show. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Dynamo Pro Wrestling they have not released their next show, but they did just have a show a few days ago in Farmington. Now, Farmington, Missouri is usually their home for a lot of their shows. And let me tell you something, folks. It's great wrestling. They draw great crowds. I know Pro Wrestling Epic just had their show a few days ago. I had the pleasure of doing the commentary for it out in Pinckneyville, Illinois. And let me tell you, Pinckneyville is not close to St. Charles, Missouri. A city called Pinckneyville would not be close to St. Charles, Missouri. It sounds about as far away as you would think. But it was a great show. But if you're in the St. Louis area, be sure to support your local independent wrestling. You got Glory Pro, you got Anarchy, you got MMWA, you got Dynamo, you got Pro Wrestling Epic, you got CHWA, you got WrestleMax, you got so many more. And I know there are promotions that I'm probably missing. I mean, okay, SICW, there's another one, there's IEW, there's New Genesis. Like I said, there is a lot. And yes, AJ said it clear as day. And this I never thought I'd live to see. Heath Slater won the Pro Wrestling Epic Interstate Championship in a fatal 4-way match between him, Dallas Taylor, Kendall Beck, and Derek Fullerton. Did I ever expect in my life to be calling a Heath Slater match? No. I had the pleasure of calling a match by Nick Dinsmore, known as Eugene, also known as Eugene last year. But with Heath Slater, it was a great experience. He's a fantastic stand-up guy. In Alton, I had the pleasure of working with the daughter of the late, great Roddy Piper. In the industry, working with all these fantastic men and women, whether they are established veterans or just up-and-comers, is a great honor for me. So I want to thank everybody in the wrestling industry that has welcomed me into their fold in some way, shape, or form. And so there's that. Folks, as we are getting close to wrapping it up this evening, I do want to one more time give a promotional shout out for our dear friends at Filthy Games Room in St. Charles, Missouri. Okay, so Filthy Games Room is located at 3479 Newtown Boulevard in St. Charles. It's right off Newtown and 370. It has the largest collection of modern and retro video games in the St. Louis metropolitan area by as far as a store is concerned. Um, and they have a plethora of consoles ranging all the way back from the Magnavox Odyssey to the Nintendo Switch, VHSs, DVDs, um, game manuals, game magazines. They also at the entrance have a bunch of free to play arcade machine classics. I always love playing Millipede and oh, excuse me, what is it? Tetris. I was like, it's right in front of me on the audio visual screen. Now I want to put this in perspective. They just celebrated their 1 year anniversary of business. This was just a couple days ago. For those that are tuning in on our live broadcast, the fantastic crowd for the Smash Brothers 64 tournament. It was a huge success. They always have video game tournaments of the month. They always have contests, giveaways, staff recommendations. There's always a daily movie out that they put on the screen. And they got the Blockbuster 2 the Blockbuster video banner. So it's so therapeutic for me just going there having fun. You can shoot the breeze with Ben Bizzle, the owner, and it's just like talking to a fellow kid gamer. He's gonna give me crap for this, but he's no kid. He ain't a youngin', but none of us are. But it's a great place for all ages. I highly recommend going there, seeing Ben, Scott, Isaac, Ari, just a fantastic group. So that is Filthy Games Room, located at 3479 Newtown Boulevard in St. Charles, Missouri. And if anybody wants to advertise their business, their local business, with us at I-70 Sports Media, for us to put on all of our shows on our YouTube account, on our Facebook pages, on our website, be sure to message us directly at one of our social media pages, and we will be able to do business with you. And it would be a great pleasure. We support local, so being able to help local businesses spread the word, and this is for folks, you don't have to be just based in St. Louis. If you could be based in the Kansas City area, Como, I mean, look, we can make it. We all can make this together. We all can thrive. So definitely just shoot us a contact and we'll see what can be done. So I will confirm, folks, unfortunately, Tyler Cooley, I want to deeply apologize to those who came on to the show this evening to expect to see Tyler Cooley join us. Unfortunately, Tyler did not respond, but I will be getting in touch with him shortly, and we will look to rectify that situation. Until then, we are going to wrap things up. First, you can find us also on Spotify, on iTunes, and on YouTube. But be sure to call the NAMI helpline at 1-800-950-NAMI, 1-800-950-NAMI. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for those who struggle with mental health issues. And they are important issues. Never let anybody tell you that mental health is not a serious issue by any means. As always, also at the end of every week, we put up the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and for that you dial 988. The line is open 24/7, 365 days a year, 366 on leap years. Understand that you're never alone out there. There is always somebody that loves you and cares about you and just wants you to live the fullest possible life that you can. You are all so extremely loved out there, and We all struggle every day with things, but that doesn't mean our struggles have to be faced alone. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with receiving a helping hand or a voice. So you're just a phone call or a text or an email or help away. And you could be the listening ears and watchful eye for somebody else as well. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. I'm the Maestro Jeremy Karp. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. And remember, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading. Good night, everybody.